So firstly, I want just to say thank you so much for joining us today. Really, really appreciate it. It's very helpful when other people can get to hear experiences of people that have joined our MAP program. So I guess I kind of would like to just start off by asking you what prompted you to, join the program? Like, how were you first introduced to
Yeah.
us?
I think it was a cold call from memory, and I have no idea how they actually got my number. But I remember there was a consultant who contacted me and was just like, "Hey, would you be interested in saving some money?" And I must say, I initially I was a bit skeptical at first, and I wasn't. He did explain it where he might have gotten my number, but I can't quite remember where it was. But it was off something. And anyway, yeah, he's like, oh, we're in the business of helping people save money especially with all my finances with my properties and stuff. So he's like, would you be interested? And yeah, like I was sort of skeptical, but then I went, you know what? It was a free consultation at first. And I'm like, it's going to cost me an hour of my time, but it might be worth it. So I sort of gave it a shot. And the consultant, they arranged the time, a date. They actually come to my place, and then they sort of beforehand sort of see if you could sort of prepare a few things, obviously, to make the consultation a little bit smoother. And yeah, the guy came, sat down, asked a bunch of questions. We had sort of all the information on hand, and then he put it through this computer with his program. And approximately, he sort of went, look, we think we could possibly help you with about this much. And this is the kind of, savings we could possibly get you. And then these are the kind of services we offer as well too. And, would you be interested? And then I'm looking at this number going, is it really possible?
Is it too good to be true? This is too good to be true.
And obviously he's not the the person who does all of the detailed stuff. He's just the person who collects all the information. So I am a finance professional myself. And so I sort of had all these questions, and he's like, yep, look, I'm not really the person to answer them, but if you're willing to come in for another appointment with our finance specialist, your consultant, and he will be able to answer all those questions. And so I was like, you know what, like, I'm actually interested. Seeing the numbers, it was quite material. And looking at when he had answered some of the more high level questions, I could sort of see how this would work. And so then I teed up a time with Brett and met him. And he just was awesome, like right from the start. Just really awesome guy, very easy to get along with. And he sort of started off with just sort of giving you a bit of background about himself, getting to know you. And then, and he does give you a lot of confidence, because coming from the industry, having been in it for so long, and really seeing his passion for this sort of stuff. And then he sort of takes you at a high level, sort of what they can do, what they offer. And then sort of specifies it a little bit more about what they can do for me. And and I looked at those numbers and I'm like, yep, if you can save me that, I'm happy to pay you for it. That's sort of where it went. And then they've been like true to the word, like they've and very supportive the whole way through, just sort of holding your hand through it all. And like, much as like I said, I have this background in accounting and finance myself, like you've got other things to worry about, and it's just sort of nice to have someone who just will be able to lead you through it, be very proactive about following you up and making sure things are okay. When things are sort of changing with the whole like interest rates lately, they've been quite good at making sure that I'm covered. And then recently my partner and I have been considering buying a house, and they've been really good at getting quotes, getting ideas of borrowing capacity, how things might affect us, things to look out for. Just really good at just supporting you through any financial kind of situation or problem, or any question I might have about what should I do here or there. Like, just they're always there to answer. And yeah, just really awesome in general.
I think that's key too. I mean, a lot of what we do is not rocket science in its own right, but it's the I think the ability to pull all those little bits together, make sure that they all work, but then make sure that they keep working.
Yes.
Because that's the bit I think where a lot of people sort of fall by the wayside. It's making sure that you keep those structures and all those bits and pieces in place and working. So I think that's I always say that I think 80% of what we do, the success that we have, is down to the support and that ongoing sort of, if you want to call it coaching, monitoring, whatever word you want to attach to it. I think that's the secret herbs and spices and what we actually do. So based on being in the program, how many years did they predict that you would be able to save off the term of your mortgage?
Yeah, I think that's roughly about 9 to 10 years, something like that.
And in dollar value, what did that sort of equate to?
It was just over about 200K from memory.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Larita, what does that mean? There's some pretty significant savings. So, and you're actually doing all of these at the moment on an investment property. It's not even an occupier at the moment. So that program can transfer from an investment property to an owned occupier. So it doesn't have to be your own property.
Yep.
But in terms of those savings, what does that mean to future plans for you?
Yeah, look, always any extra money is awesome, especially when you can sort of have a think about being financially, I guess, independent and free from debt. 10 years is a lot of time, and so I think having that kind of mentality where you're not just going to be forever in debt in life, and that there is that kind of financial freedom a lot earlier than expected is really awesome. There's things like, I think, just for me, passive income is something that like I've been always wanting to have, because obviously you're not going to be working forever in a day, so you want to be set up. And I think the more you have of that kind of passive income, the more security you will sort of feel. And I think it just gets me earlier, like to that stage earlier, where I have a choice. You have choices whether you want to work to a certain age, or you want to actually retire earlier and do more of the things that you love, and you have more free time. You might be able to invest potentially in more things and sort of get your financial freedom even earlier than what I've currently got right now, because they say you're shaving off 9 to 10 years, say, roughly, for that amount, but that's only based on what you currently have. If you then use that money and then further invest again, it just sort of compounds. So it gives you those opportunities that you might not have had, and it just gives you a little bit more hope about your financial security and freedom later on down the track.
And have you had to make big financial sacrifices, or your lifestyle? Are you eating one meal a day as opposed to
no, it's nothing like that. And that's the interesting thing. Like I was very concerned, because I do like my current lifestyle, and I was a bit concerned that they were going to be like, oh yeah, of course you can save if you do this and that, and stop going out to all these restaurants and stop having all your holidays, and spending all this money on all these things that you like but you don't really need. But yeah, that was surprisingly none of that. It was all about just being a bit more conscious. It does make you really conscious of where you spend, which I always was, but it just makes it really clear. And then, I mean, obviously the support system, one of the things that they provided was having someone checking with you in the first year every month, just making sure that you're on track, doing things right. And again, like I said, the only difference was I was just having to keep track of a few of expenses, which I always did anyway, but in a format that was, you know, a bit more meaningful. And I think that was the only thing that sort of changed, was just having to keep track of a few things that I was spending my money on. But otherwise, yeah, lifestyle wise, surprisingly, there was absolutely no change, which was quite impressive.
And do you believe that the predictions that were given to you are achievable now that you've been in the program and you've been working it? Do you believe that it's achievable, that it's predictable?
Yeah, and not only, I think, do you believe it, it's like you can see it, you know, when, like I said, the guy who takes you through this stuff every month, you have access to all of the program, the software that they're using, you see the calculation models that they're looking at. And that's the thing, they walk you through how to look at it, how to interpret it. And yeah, I'm looking at those numbers and they're real, like they're numbers I put in myself. So I know it's not made up, and you can sort of follow it through, and they are really good at explaining how this all works. So once you're in the program, it's quite clear that you are definitely going to be saving and shaving off years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if you were sitting back giving advice to somebody who gets a, you know, a random call or a random email and is like looking at it going, oh, that's too good to be true. Yeah. What would your best piece of advice to them be?
Oh, like keeping an open mind would be one thing. I think for someone, like I said, like myself, who is a financial professional already, my initial thought was, I'm already doing everything. I already know everything. Oh, not everything, but you know, how much can they really help me? You know, isn't this more for people who have no idea what they're doing? But it's not, even for someone like myself, where I was so skeptical at first about how much they could help me. They still can, you know, and you'd be surprised at just, I guess, because these guys are professionals and have been in the industry for a long time, they have access to opportunities and I guess tips and tricks of the trade that you either might not have known about or you don't really have access to. And they have a network of people who have all of this pulled together to give you the best outcome in your situation. And it's tailored. I don't think you could really get better than that.
Awesome. Yeah. Lerita, thank you so much for chatting to us today. Yeah. And one of the big kicks that I get is to do these interviews, which yeah. I get all the glory and the easy bits, but I love seeing the results that people are achieving. So congratulations to you, kudos to you, mm-hmm. and I'm really excited for what you're going to be able to achieve. And I hope that we get to pop a champagne bottle together in another couple of years, and you get this mortgage completely paid off. So thank you very much for chatting to us today. Really, really appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, no problems. Thanks very much, Sally-Ann.
All right. Thanks, Rita.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.